What's good, Mumu crew? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thanks for stopping by. I hope part 1 gave you all enough to think about and you're ready to move on to part 2. So let's talk about curating your Sims worlds. As promised in the last part, we're going to steamroll through, so let's begin. Setting up your world in The Sims 3 can either be a fun or frustrating process, but with this guide, my goal is to make it an enjoyable and easy experience. I always recommend building up your world before you start actively playing in it. This approach helps prevent early game burnout, boredom, or the temptation to scrap your save file because you've accomplished too much too quickly. By taking the time to build up your world, you'll commit more deeply to your save file because of the passion, creativity, and energy you've invested in crafting it perfectly to your taste and needs. So why build before you play? Longevity. You're more likely to stick with your save file because you've made it uniquely yours. Purposeful design. Not a single space in your world is wasted. Everything exists for a reason. Endless possibilities. You'll never run out of ideas or places to send your Sims because you've given yourself so many options. Focus on consistency. Aesthetic consistency. Keep your lots on theme with your world's style, whether it's a city, small town, forested area, Italian inspired, African themed, etc. Lot functionality. Make sure your lots serve a purpose and provide activities for your Sims. Avoid the typical EA community lots that lack functionality or cohesion. Open rabbit holes. If you're like me and find traditional rabbit holes to be the bane of your existence, consider replacing them with interactive lots that fit your theme. For example, in a medieval themed world, you can replace a modern grocery store with specialized shops like a meat shop sold by hunters, a marketplace for produce, and a general goods store for items like pet food or household supplies. Other themed replacements could include a tavern instead of a bar, a brothel instead of a strip club, a high society tea club instead of a coffee shop, a castle instead of a city hall, an apothecary instead of a hospital or pharmacy, a tailor shop instead of a fashion boutique store. These specialized lots keep you immersed, encouraging you to see the world from your Sims perspective instead of having to imagine it. Select a world that already runs well on your system. Small worlds perform best for everyone, while medium worlds provide more space without compromising performance. Large worlds can be hit or miss depending on their optimization and your computer's specs. My favorite large worlds, such as the Big Apple and Fairhaven, run smoothly thanks to well-done street routing and the use of decorative buildings instead of active lots. Remapping your world. This is the most creative part of the setup. You can design your world however you want with a lot of freedom to explore different layouts. I recommend building lots in a separate optimized builder's world like Rosie's, then placing the finished lot into your main save. Save frequently and decorate the surrounding areas to lock in your progress. To help organize your world, consider dividing it into different districts. You can have a wealthy neighborhood with a gated community of mansions. You can have a middle-class neighborhood like a suburbs or other moderately priced housing. You can have an apartment complex or starter homes. This could be a slums area, basic apartments, or smaller starter homes. You can have a downtown district, including essential lots like opened rabbit holes, nightlife spots, special shops. These divisions help create a balanced and complete world. When paired with NPC households, you'll find less pressure to fill every home, allowing you to focus on the most important spaces. I want to add that if you are following my NPC household method, then you don't need to have any empty houses during this process. All of your houses should either be filled or deco, especially if you only plan on moving to another world at some point in your save file. Story progression will try to find Sims to populate these empty houses, which can cause lag and eventually an overpopulated world as more Sims have been added who will eventually have children. Removing empty homes prevents both of these issues. If you do plan on moving in world at some point and you're like me, then you would only leave one empty mansion, as the only reason I would want to move is because my Sim has now made a lot of money and wants to enjoy the benefits of that in the world. So let's very quickly debunk myths about custom content. It's possible to have a detailed CC heavy save file without lag. Optimization is key. The right mods in CC can ensure smooth gameplay even with lots of detail. If a particular lot crashes in one world but not another, consider adjusting the lot size or the custom content being used. Test your lots thoroughly to find what works best for you. Designing lots for your active household. If you're unsure what kind of lots to add, consider the traits and interest of your active Sims. So for my vampire sim Pandora, I created an underground rave and an abandoned greenhouse as a secret hangout for vampires. My scientist sim Solomon works at a custom science lab and gathers herbs from an apothecary for his potion making hobby. For my chaotic sim Moon, I revamped a dive bar lot to serve as a seedy hub for his illegal activities. These personalized lots add layers to your role-playing experience, providing endless opportunities for storytelling. So let's quickly go back to opening up your rabbit holes. Replacing traditional rabbit holes with functional lots can add depth to your gameplay. You can use a hospital lot for pregnancy roleplay, a police station for criminal activities, a city hall for bureaucratic errands such as getting a license or applying for family services. You don't need to be a master builder. You can download lots from the community or redecorate existing shells to suit your needs. While creating a visually stunning world in The Sims 3, you might find that a lot of EA lots were very empty, oversized, and boring. This quickly prompted players to fill this space up with a bunch of deco, leading many lots to be primarily for taking pictures and lacking actual playability. However, you can cleverly incorporate functional elements into these decorative spaces to enrich the Sims experience without compromising their visual appeal. Aim for 80% decorative features and 20% functionality. If you remember my populated world guide, then you know that fewer functional objects on a lot can lead to better optimization and smoother gameplay. This balance makes decorating and building lots a more manageable and creative process. Here's how you can achieve this. Maximizing functional value and decorative lots. Integrating functional elements into decorative lots allows you to create engaging spaces that serve a purpose while maintaining their visual appeal. By adding a small percentage of functionality, you enhance the gameplay experience without sacrificing aesthetics. So let's talk about examples of combining deco with functional objects. A coffee shop. The deco elements that you can add to a coffee shop. You can fill the coffee shop with deco sims and seats to create a bustling atmosphere. You can use stylish furnishings and art to set the scene. You don't have to be able to sit on all of the pieces of furniture. You can easily set up deco purses, books, or deco sims in its place. You can also place deco cafe food at a table where your sim can sit. And since drinking coffee doesn't actually require a table slot, the only open table slot you would want on the slot is for Sims who have laptops. The functional elements of a coffee shop, you can incorporate the University Life coffee bar to allow Sims to order and enjoy coffee. You can use Flow Theory's Relax to Sit mod to let Sims sit comfortably at various seats, making social interactions more fluid. This way your Sims can have a pleasant outing while still interacting with the environment in a meaningful way. You won't have to worry about Sims you came to the lot with sitting separately from you. You can just have them all sit at a table together using this mod and watch them talk and slowly build relationships as they sit. So for parks or a plaza, the deco elements of that could be fountains, flower beds, trees, flowers, bushes. You can become a real landscaper, even adding a fake creek or river running through the park. For functional enhancements, you can place a few functional items like picnic tables or playground equipment. Sims can use these items for activities such as eating, playing, or socializing. You don't always need a chess table, and you can even just design this lot as a year-round seasonal festival lot with a functional carousel, haunted house, ticket booth, etc. Art gallery. Deco elements. Most of this deco will be in paintings and sculptures, of course, but did you know your Sims can view CC paintings and sculptures and still gain the art museum buff on these lots? For functional elements, I usually love putting a souvenir shop and mini art cafe on this lot. This makes this lot perfect for family or date nights. You can add romantic lighting for the nighttime, a little lobby with dining chairs and little tables. You can view art with your date or sim by setting up a bench in front of exhibits and talking on them using Flow Theory's Relax to Sit mod, and then ultimately ending the date or family gathering or friend date with a savvier seller gift shop you can gift to other Sims you went with. You can also add a little wine and painting class somewhere on the lot, somewhere you can sample nectar and then paint on the lot with other Sims. For fashion boutiques, for the deco elements, you can design a towny, chic boutique with stylish displays, mannequins, and fashion deco. For the functional elements, include a fitting room where Sims can check themselves out in the mirror, and you can use Annie's Into the Future stand mod to make some mannequins functional and add more than 3 outfits to your Sims closet. So again, if you watched my populated world guide, then I briefly touched on the technique of mixing official townie households and NPC households in your world. I have always wanted to dive further in depth with this technique, so let's do that here. Creating a set of unique official households is essential for bringing life and personality to your world. These households can be filled with dynamic characters who have distinct backstories, relationships, and daily routines that align with the overall theme of your world. By thoughtfully designing these Sims, you can foster engaging neighborhood dynamics that encourage players to interact with and care about their townies. So when it comes to designing diverse and engaging households, you want to aim for 10 to 12 households. To create a lively and interconnected neighborhood, populate your world with 10 to 12 households that feature a mix of personalities, aspirations, and relationships. Here are some ideas for structuring your households to create a balanced and engaging community. Random families include families that feel authentic and relatable, complete with quirky traits and unique personalities. Think of creating a mix of traditional, unconventional, and blended families that reflect the diversity of real life. 3 neighbors. Design households that live near your main Sim's home or have storylines that overlap. These neighbors can be friendly, flirty, or even hot-headed, providing opportunities for interactions ranging from casual chats to petty rivalries. 3 potential lovers. Create Sims who could be love interests for your main Sim, whether they're charming, awkward, or mysterious. These Sims can add romantic intrigue and plot twists to your gameplay. 3 potential enemies. Introduce households with clashing personalities or conflicting interests that naturally lead to drama. This could be the rebellious teen that your Sim's parents despise, a rival co-worker, or a former friend turned op. 3 friends. Develop friend households that align with your main Sim's personality and goals. These Sims can be classmates, co-workers, or simply kindred spirits who share similar hobbies and interests. Flexibility in design. Remember, you don't have to limit each category to a single type. For instance, a household meant to be a potential friend group could consist of 3 siblings, 2 of whom might get along great with your Sim, while the third becomes their nemesis. Mixing up traits, aspirations, and personalities keeps interactions fresh and engaging, creating connections and dynamics. Neighborhood dynamics. Think about how each household interacts with others in the community. Who's the wealthy family that throws extravagant parties? Who's the eccentric artist whose quirky lifestyle intrigues the neighbors? Who's the troubled teen seeking acceptance? These roles help shape the world's story and create opportunities for roleplay. Roleplay inspiration. The dynamics between households can inspire various roleplay scenarios. Maybe the artist's daughter is secretly dating the son of the uptight politician next door, or the town's most notorious slacker finds himself working at the cafe owned by his worst enemy's family. Tips for making townies you care about. Unique backstories. Giving each household a rich backstory adds depth and makes interactions feel meaningful. Consider each Sim's past experiences, dreams, and secrets. Even a small detail like a lingering high school rivalry or a secret talent can make a Sim memorable. Define roles in the community. Assign roles that affect the world's story. For example, a troubled artist household might be at odds with the conservative neighborhood watch leader, while the aspiring chef could be the go-to Sim you invite for neighborhood gatherings. Personalities that pop. Use traits and career paths that complement or conflict with other households, ensuring a mix of harmonious and challenging interactions. A mix of friendly Sims and mean-spirited Sims creates a more dynamic and unpredictable world. As a special note for people who rotate their households, if you rotate your households, you may already have a natural connection to the Sims you create, since you'll be actively managing their lives. However, even rotators can benefit from carefully designing each household's role in the neighborhood to ensure every play session feels fresh and interconnected. Backstory generator. To make this process easier, I've made a backstory generator that can be used to quickly develop engaging backstories for your active household and official townie households. This tool will help you add depth and personality to each Sim, making your world feel rich and alive. You can find all links to the mods and resources discussed in this guide at the end on my Tumblr. So now I want to talk about NPC households and defining their need. NPC households add flavor, depth, and unpredictability to your Sims 3 world. They can serve as the town drunks, rivals, eccentric loners, or just that quirky neighbor who always seems to show up at the wrong time. These Sims bring an extra layer of storytelling that enhances the overall roleplay experience, making the world feel alive and filled with unique characters outside of your active household. Strategies for placement and management. To keep your world optimized, consider placing NPC households in lower functioning homes like basements or tiny apartments. This encourages the game's engine to push these Sims out of their homes more often, making them more active participants in the community. Another tip is to convert their homes into apartments using NPC doors. This setup not only increases the number of visible Sims around town, but also creates a larger pool of bin townies that you'll see around your world. So let's talk about NPC household concepts. Potential lovers, enemies, and friends. Create a mix of 8 single men and 8 single women Sims who can serve as potential lovers, enemies, or friends. These Sims add a dynamic layer of spontaneity because even though you may initially label them as potential enemies or friends, gameplay might surprise you. A planned enemy could become a lover or vice versa, adding a twist to your story that reflects the unpredictability of real relationships. Teen and child NPCs. If you're interested in family play, consider setting up NPC households of teens and children. These Sims will help populate your high school, giving your teen Sims more peers to interact with, whether it's friendship, rivalry, or romance. You could even theme them as class of year, whatever you pick, to create a sense of time and narrative progression. For smaller towns, consider fewer households, like 4 male and 4 female teens in a single home, creating a tight-knit yet diverse school community. For child NPC households, you can include a nanny or adoption agent adult to add context and provide adult supervision. Toddler households and daycare setup. If you plan to set up a functional daycare, NPC toddler households are essential. By including toddlers in a daycare run by an NPC adult, you can add adorable chaos to your world. Placing 5 to 7 toddlers in a household along with daycare staff, and watch as these little Sims are occasionally taken on outings, adding to the town's realism and charm. I'll be releasing a guide soon on setting up a fully functional daycare that can include these NPC toddlers as well. Maintenance townies. Savvier seller cashiers. For those using savvier seller items, NPC cashiers are essential for running various shops like grocery stores, boutiques, or arcades. Create a household of Sims with the last name Savvier to easily identify them when assigning them roles. These NPCs ensure your businesses are always open and thriving without pulling from your core storytelling townies. Business Sims for your Ultimate Careers mod. If you use the Ultimate Careers mod, adding a household of business-oriented NPCs can populate your offices, adding a sense of busyness and realism to your community lots. These NPCs can actively work alongside your playable Sims or simply populate the area, making it feel like a bustling, lived-in environment. You can also alternatively just use Deco Sims to achieve this, but I still wanted to give you guys some examples of how you could embellish this NPC category. So for a themed world, let's say the Big Apple New York City world I recommended earlier, this world could have a Hispanic Latino NPC household, African American household, Asian American household, a starving artist NPC household, political activist NPC household, civil service NPC household. Half could be police, the other half could be first responders, firefighters, a homeless camp shelter NPC household. You could make a homeless camp district for them to live in, a criminal NPC household, and you can just keep going with this. Make the NPC households fit for your theme or story. So let's try a Life is Strange core small town kind of world. You can make an indie music lover NPC household, mine workers, starving artists. You could use the NPCs from the New York City world and plop them right into this world. A motorcycle gang NPC household, an indigenous NPC household. Maybe this town is located near a heavy indigenous population. And again, just to give you some ideas to string along. So let's do a fantasy supernatural themed world. You can make elves, witches, dwarves, orcs, barbarians, werewolves, vampires, fairies, mermaid or sirens. Now let's let's try a medieval themed world in general. You can make nobles, royalty, merchants. These can also be your savvy or seller cashiers. You can make hunters, and these could easily also be your love interest household with some hot hunters in the mix. Peasants with some torn rags. Beggars for your homeless population, it's optional. Pirate NPCs, you can move them into island, paradise, pirate ship kind of boats. Knight NPCs, these could also be your police population if you want to establish that. Thieves Guild NPC household, these could be your criminals. A Mages Guild NPC household, these could also be your witches and wizards. A Slore NPC household, these are for your brothels. If you establish that, you could also alternatively just use 𝐷𝐶𝐿's custom generic role mod to place them. And as a final example, let's do a cyberpunk sci-fi themed world. You can make robot NPCs, hologram NPC households. Dead robots will have a holographic effect in game. An AI humanoid NPC robot. I like to use the Detroit Become Human blue circle CC accessory. You could do an alien NPC household. There's plenty of CC to make all kinds of aliens, so you can stretch this across various species. A Netrunner NPC household, a Corpo NPC household, an Outskirts Gang NPC household. So as you can see, the NPC household making process is pretty simple and very fun, and as you go through these households and plop them down in your world, you're gonna find your world very quickly becoming more alive and more immersive. As a pro tip, consider changing the look of your bartenders in various NROS register assigned role sims just to make them look the part for the world's theme. Custom Role Generator. To bring a fresh dynamic feel to your Sims 3 world, consider using 𝐷𝐶𝐿's Custom Role Generator mod. These roles can range from regular customers, librarians, to strippers, adding depth and intrigue to your gameplay. By defining specific roles for certain Sims, you can create more immersive and interactive storytelling opportunities that push your Sims narratives beyond the typical game mechanics. 𝐷𝐶𝐿's mod allows you to assign unique roles to NPCs, enhancing the realism and unpredictability of your game. Here are some creative ways to use it. Park Rangers. You can assign park ranger roles to Sims for your camping lots. These Sims, equipped with the loves the outdoors trait, add a touch of realism to outdoor adventures. Another Sim you could interact with on your camping trips outside of yourself or who you brought with you. Librarians. You can use 𝐷𝐶𝐿's generator to assign a librarian role, complementing 𝐿 library mod for extra immersion. A dedicated librarian adds a layer of interaction to your Sims visits, whether it's asking about book recommendations, renting out study rooms, or simply catching up on town gossip. This little touch transforms a simple library visit into a social experience. A mayor, a Sim who can fill your city hall, placing down a university life podium. You might even find them making speeches every now and then. A manager, give your uptight Sims someone to insult and complain to when you're not happy with a business's services. A regular customer, a Sim you always see hanging out at the bar after work. I remember when I played a save file where I won a daycare in China, I ended up making one of the customers assigned by 𝐷𝐶𝐿's mod a roommate. Then I randomly decided he had a brother who needed a place to stay as well. You can easily transfer any of these Sims back into your gameplay for an engaging story. A therapist, a Sim you can assign using 𝐿 medical overhaul mod. Someone your Sim can set up appointments with and go speak to when they need to unload something off their mind. So in general, if you follow all of the suggestions in this guide, by the time you start your gameplay, you will have a completely revamped world and households with optimized population. This will all intertwine and interconnect with each other. This process can last as long as you want it to last. It can be time consuming, but it really depends on how much detail you want to add. The Sims 3 is also a building game, and it hangs a lot of its merits on creativity, which means you could spend a lot of time creating before playing. I also find this process to be quite soothing, as I often turn on some music, bring some snacks, throw a Netflix show on in the background, bring my iced coffee and water, and just go silently crazy with my ideas. If you have ever built or decorated in The Sims 3, then you've probably hit that creative spark at some point in the game, where a build could initially start overwhelming or even boring, but the further you get into it, you just started feeling the vibes out and throwing things everywhere like it was just supposed supposed to be there. I personally enjoy decorating and role-playing, so that is why this process more so excites me. However, if you're not a builder and you just enjoy gameplay, but you still want beautiful CC builds in your game, consider searching the community for their uploaded lots. And if you stick around, I have big plans to upload my own CC lots to the community as well. As I convert more CC, I get inspired and I like to build from what I've converted. So I plan to do speed builds and tours and then upload those lots for download. I offer this as an alternative because you don't have to build or decorate if it's a stressful process for you. While I highly recommend it because you get a better sense of what you actually like in the game, what your aesthetic truly is, you can also just plop down community projects all the same and jump right into the game. Combining this with official households and NPC households just ensures your world is already full once you actually hit play, and Sims will start being sent out into the world immediately. I want to thank you all so much for joining me in this video today and for the wait. Guides like the topic I'm doing have to be made very carefully and are a bit more time consuming than my other guides, since I have to visually show you many examples for the information to connect and to prove that this is even doable in the game. So I really appreciate your patience, and I will see you all in part 3. Bye, mumus!